Lovers episode. I think it's so funny because when I do things, like when you do public speaking and whatever, they see you. And so nobody knows that me and the guests, and I'll introduce my guests in a second, like we're dancing because of the intro music. And so it feels super awkward where I'm like, yeah, let's party. And people are like, we can't see you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that voice that you just heard is our guest today, my co-host, and I'm so excited to introduce her. So her name is Monica O'Connell. We should have known each other for a really long time, which we have, but even longer than that because we grew up like in adjacent communities, and I know her sister and all of that, but we met however many years ago, to be undetermined because I don't think we quite figured it out yet, but we'll call it 10. And Monica is an incredible therapist, human friend, mom, and she has just like completely redefined the couples therapy world. I mean, she's incredible on Instagram. She has this cool, my therapist said is her handle. And so today I have Monica on the podcast and we're going to talk about redefining intimacy.
Ooh. So excited.
Welcome, Monica.
Thanks, Erin.
I'm so happy you're here. It gets me excited just looking over at you. So the whole like shtick behind Platonic Lovers, and I know you've listened to some of the episodes, is we want to talk about friendships and why they're so important in our lives. You know, one of the things is I'm on this huge journey with my new company that I've launched, shout out to Pash Company, around social health. And part of Platonic Lovers came from this idea, and just to remind the other listeners who have listened to my rambling about this in the last however many episodes, is that I really feel like what's allowed me to get through some of life's adversity in the last decade of my life has been having close friendships and blending my experience as a therapist and a human to understand why those friendships are so valuable and navigating the boundaries and how to have those friendships. And a topic that keeps coming up kind of constantly in my group of friends with Brad, Faye, and Zoe, and just friends beyond is this overlap of our non-platonic lovers and our platonic lovers, right? Like our friends and our significant others. And so I want to talk to you today a lot about like what that looks like and that boundary, about how you like manage friends and like jealous, like maybe your significant others like jealous of your friends, or like what about when your friends won't talk, like you'll like spill your guts about how your husband was so awful to you, and then you expect that they'll reciprocate, and they're like, yeah, mine's great.
That's always fun.
Yeah. So what do you think? Like, what's your take on the whole like friends versus significant others? And I just kind of want your opinion too on like, you know, how do you see the role of platonic lovers in your life and in your work and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So I think one of the greatest gifts that I've had is having platonic lovers who have been incredibly supportive and who have also, like you, helped me navigate a lot of life's up and downs and a lot of big life transitions. And I feel like most of the things I've learned about myself have happened within the context of relationships and primarily with my platonic lovers, if you will.
Isn't it weird to say? But it's like also,
it's fun.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
It feels like it gives it more of a definition. Like, oh, they're my platonic lovers. It's fancier somehow than friends.
Well, or like even it's better than like being like, bestie. Like I'm not 12. I don't want a matching necklace, maybe, unless it's from like Louis Vuitton, maybe. I don't know. I want it to be a fancy. I don't want to turn my neck green.
Sure.
Right? If we're going to have matching necklaces that say bestie or best friends, I want it to at least not turn my neck green.
But I feel like you'd be down for something matching.
Yeah. Yes.
Just would have to be high quality.
Outed.
Yeah.
Yes, that is correct. I would 100%.
Yeah. And I feel like the person you'd most the person you most likely match with would be a platonic lover.
Yeah.
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 Or a coordinated outfit or some kind of subtle matching.
I don't even need to be subtle.
Yeah.
Like I'm all for matching. Dan today is wearing a New York Yankees hat, and I went into my closet and I said, we're going to be twins today. And I grabbed my Yankees hat and then I said, just kidding. We're not going to be the Twins. We're going to be the Yankees. It was so bad.
Did Dan just stare at you?
Yeah. He's like, wow, the eighth, ninth, how many wonders of the world are there? He's like, this is one of them. And then he walked on. And I was so glad I can just share that with you and the rest of my platonic lovers who are listening.
That's right? Yeah.
Okay. So sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. I do that sometimes.
No.
But
I feel great about it.
Yeah. But we have friends, and so one of the things we were talking about, right before every podcast guest comes on, we like kind of like debrief or like game plan what we want to talk about. So we don't sound like complete idiots. And well,
You're so vain. Still time.
Yeah, there's still time. But we were talking about how I want you to tell everyone about that story about that you had with your partner.
Oh, so there was someone's Instagram reel or TikTok reel was like, oh, my husband or my partner is my best friend. So I got home and asked my partner if I was his best friend. So he was like, hey, I've got an important question for you. Would you say I'm your best friend? And he was like, absolutely not. It was like, that is so offensive. And he was like, oh, really? Am I your best friend? And it was like, in no way. You're not my best friend. He was like, well, isn't that offensive? And I was like, absolutely not. I'm supposed to be your best friend, but I don't know that you were supposed to be mine.
Yeah. But it's like the expectations.
Yeah. Well, and you just kind of want to be I kind of want to be everyone's best friend. It's sort of like you can think I'm your best friend, but I only have a couple best friends.
Yeah, like exclusivity.
Exclusivity, yeah.
Yeah, it's like makes us feel more wanted and liked.
It does.
Yeah.
And I think, especially it seems like women measure sort of proximity, friendship, disclosure, emotional intimacy as either we're really close friends or we're kind of close friends or we're acquaintances.
Yeah.
There's sort of, I don't know, a couple of different layers
of
where I would put you.
Yeah. That's actually something I haven't thought about. Like, I know we have acquaintances, but really we do connect with our friends or like in that hierarchy of friendship, right?
Yeah.
Like platonic lovers, I put at the top.
Right.
Like you are like my soul sister or brother or whoever. Right. But we are so close. Like I bear my soul to you. There's nothing off limits. Like I will send you a picture of what happened in the bathroom. Right. Like those people. Yeah. I actually don't do that, but I have friends who send it to me and I feel honored.
Oh, yeah.
I do.
Okay.
I feel honored. Like that is intimate disclosure. And
it is.
And that's the point.
Yeah.
Is like you trust me so wholly that you will send me a picture of your poop.
Yeah. Don't trust me that much. I don't want a picture of your poop. But you can send me a picture of most anything else. I get what you're tracking with, but that one's not for me.
But why would your partner, who you've had 2 babies with? Three? You have 3 babies now?
I have 3 babies.
Why I haven't seen Monica since the second baby.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I haven't seen Monica since the second baby, but like this is not her partner. Like they're not married, but they are like you guys live together and you've been together for a long time.
Yeah.
And so for him to say like you're not besties, like what, like you guys share everything together. Like the level of disclosure is pretty deep there.
Yeah.
So what is the reason why you wouldn't be best friends based on the standard of disclosure?
Well, he went on to say he doesn't experience that type of relationship as one that would be measured as a friendship. Almost like his measurement of it is, since we're together and we share all of these other that sort of romantic relationship based experiences, friendship is a different category for him.
Interesting. That's such a man answer.
It was such a man answer. So it was like, who are your best friends? And he went on to name a couple people. And what's interesting is I asked him, when was the last time you talked to them?
Yeah. And he's like 6 years.
Yeah.
That one
recently.
time
Yeah.
at a deer I don't even know. Deer hunting? What do you call that? Just deer hunting?
I think it's, just deer hunting,
but
we could call it an expo.
Brad, what's the problem? Deer camp. Oh, you were trying to help us.
Yeah, deer camp.
I thought there was something wrong with the equipment. Yeah. Wow, way to be Butch, Brad, telling us all about your hunting expedition.
Deer. So good.
Yes, that is
We've
so good.
We clearly never attended deer camp. Yeah.
So his bestie he hasn't talked to in a long time.
A long time. And he was like, when was the last time you talked to yours? And it was like, well, which ones? But probably within 24 hours.
Yeah. So there's some like obvious differences,
yeah,
like very obvious differences besides just the anatomy and the brain and everything else. But the friendship space is weird. So question for you, going along this line of, and you can talk personally or professionally, like you did just get to decide the measurement of that. But do you feel like he is jealous of how often you connect with your friends? Or do you feel like it's just not something he thinks about?
I don't think it's ever crossed his mind.
Okay.
Because I think why I think that is and why I see that show up in couples work, well, I think that is for him. And how I see that show up in couples work, I'll answer the first question I set up for myself is I think he feels like most of his relationship needs are fulfilled. I don't think that
wow, self-promotion.
It's
Look
true,
at you.
though.
Yeah,
I'm
you check
a really
every box.
great person to be in a relationship with.
I believe it. I honestly believe it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm also annoying in a lot of ways.
Own it.
Yeah, we all are.
Yeah,
it's fine. But I think his emotional intimacy needs are met in a way that's really different than mine are. I don't think he's jealous.
That's great.
There have been a few times where he's felt like maybe I've over disclosed, or his experience has been that when I've been having a hard time in our relationship, that I've over disclosed, or that people in my life experience them negatively because of what I've said.
Okay, so you're getting to the thing I wanted to talk about. So let's just get into it.
Yeah.
So in my group of friends, like my closest group of friends, cowgirls, we all have different degrees of what we're willing to share with each other about our relationships with our spouses, right?
Yeah.
And I'm the kind where it's like, if Dan does something to piss me off, I want to text Brad some like snappy meme or just the group and be like, can you believe it? And then I'm over it. I don't stay mad. Like, as fast as it comes on is as fast as it goes away. And I genuinely believe that if I don't just like pop that off somewhere and put it somewhere, that is when I start to build a resentment and start to harbor anger in my relationship.
Sure.
And I've had to explain that to Dan, that like my friends love you and they don't carry any of that with them or think of you differently, but that's really important to me, like in us. Like it's a protective mechanism that if I need to put it somewhere.
Yeah.
And I don't want to just like light matches and push them into ashtrays, like these weird coping skill experiments that we learned in grad school. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. Like that's just not my vibe. Even though I do like matches, but that's a different conversation.
Sure.
But I have other friends like who will like, and I'm sure Brad doesn't care if I talk about him, but Brad is always joking. Like when he wants to like vent about something, he sends the funniest memes. Like that is how he copes and vents. And I love it. And they're highly inappropriate, but that is how he copes with when things in his relationships are just like, feel like they're just, it's like a smattering of memes and they're all in thousands of directions. And I know exactly how Brad is feeling just based on the barrage of memes.
Yes.
Or GIFs or videos or TikToks or whatever. And then I really know when he sends me a TikTok and texts me the TikTok that I have to watch it.
Yeah.
Because if it's in any other channel, it's not serious. Right. But if it's, if it's a TikTok that he texts.
He's bearing his soul.
It literally. And that is Brad's disclosure. And I know this. And we all do it with each other. But then like, for example, other friends in our friend group, they will not. Like they kind of live by this rule of we criticize in private and we compliment in public. And I'm like, oh, like good for you. I have a hard time with that. I'm not like one of those wives that just like snaps off. Like I don't believe in I don't yell, period, but because it's bad for my vocal cords and I just don't believe in it. Yeah. But I don't.
Nice that you're regulated enough not to.
Right?
It's impressive.
Thank you. Yeah. I found out that it's because I have a really good heart rate variability. I just got a Sleep Number bed and it tells me how good my heart rate variability is. Mine's like a 16-year-old. So
wow.
I think
what do you do for that?
Like literally nothing. I thought that I had a high resting heart rate and I was like, oh my God, I need to go to the doctor because I'm going to be 40 soon and I'm clearly going to die of a heart attack. Oh. And they're like, bitch, go home.
That's so good.
They're like denying all of your claims for any sort of looking into this. And I'm like, this is the problem with America. And they're like, no, you are. And I was like, fair. So I digress. But I want your like raw, honest opinion about that. Like from a couples therapist perspective or your own, but like what is appropriate disclosure? Or does it really not even matter as long as you and your partner like talk about it?
Yeah, I think the place where most couples get into trouble is that they've never had a conversation about it. And there's a level of disclosure that happens outside of the relationship. And that feels like a betrayal or a secret was shared or a negative experience or a perceived experience that's negative. So you're telling someone this thing about me and I'm worried they're going to judge me, or I'm worried that they're going to see inside of our relationship in a way that I wasn't prepared for, or that is embarrassing about me. Like you're airing my dirty laundry to your people, and that feels terrible to me. and whatever that looks like.
So how do you, I mean, I feel that way too, right? Like I think the classic tale is with your family.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're going to tell, you're always trying to impress your significant other's family.
Right.
Or at least in the beginning.
Yeah.
Right.
That goes away.
Then they become your family and you're like, what do you want? Right.
Right.
But I think that happens and, we're trying to impress and do all these things. And for sure with friendships too. And it wears off over a certain period of time. And certainly Dan has had that conversation with me where he's like, can you not tell your friends all this? And I'm like, at what point is it not about you? Where it's about me and my relationship with them and me being able to be Erin who wants to talk. And like, what do you think about that? Like, how do couples like draw that line? Because when I go to Dan and I'm like, don't you want me to talk to my friends about my frustrations if that's my need to let it go away?
Yeah. I mean, I think that you made an important distinction, which is I think there are a lot of friendships that can understand and hold the context of what I'm talking about is really my problem and has some things to do with the partner I have, but has more to do with me and my process. And I think there are some friendships or family relationships that can understand that. So maybe the context is relationships are hard. So of course you're talking about this hard thing, or parenting is hard. So of course you're talking about how hard co-parenting is. So I think if your friend group or your family has the context of, oh, that's Erin, she talks about her feelings and then she moves on from it, I think that helps hold, in your case, Dan, in a more positive light where you're not really talking about Dan, you're talking about what's annoying about being in a relationship with someone, and Dan is the person you're in a relationship with.
Yeah, I think that's super powerful. I love that reframe because it's hard to draw that distinction because I am talking about Dan.
Yes.
But it is a behavior he's doing that is making me have a feeling. Yes. And I'm not necessarily saying that he has to do something differently when I'm talking to my friends, or like, I'm not trying to problem solve it. Yeah. I'm just trying to vent out a feeling. And like, I'm a therapist for a reason, and you don't sit in 15 years of therapy sessions and not learn a thing or two. And what I've learned about myself is let it out and let it go away. Like Put it, like if you let it, for me, if it stores in my body, it's going to stay there. And I'm going to be angry and upset. And if I can just get it out, I'm like, I've moved on. And I think it's allowed me to not pick apart my partner because I can just like own it, be frustrated in the moment, let that feeling go. And then, I'm not going to the conversation later being like, I'm still so mad at you, for when you, looked at me weird or got toothpaste all over the sink. Like just stuff like that where it's like, that bothered me. You're right. Like, is that a wrong behavior? Probably not. I mean, also it is.
But it's just part of being human.
Yes.
What it sounds like you're talking about, and what I hear from a lot of people is the difference between, it's hard to be in a relationship versus this person is a terrible person. And what I'm venting about is, for example, abusive behavior.
Yes. Well, yeah, those are very different.
Those are very different. But I think that's also what shows up. I think especially in friend groups where part of the culture of the friend group is to talk about things that we're struggling with or that we're having a hard time with, is that our friends can really discern the difference between I'm venting or I'm having a hard time or I'm just needing to process or I'm needing to make a joke of this and there's something really wrong.
Yeah.
So I think if there's something really wrong, our friends will give us really different feedback about that.
That's a really good distinction. Do you think that friendships, like when they get together, like I feel like I think my husband thinks that when I get together with the girls and Brad, like all we do is talk shit and about sex. Like I think that's what he thinks happens, like, in his mind, or at least maybe he hopes that that's what's happening. That we're just talking about all the, how good he is in bed and let's do this crazy thing next week, or,
sure. Any ideas?
Or he's like, oh, that one, she's a freak. Learn from her, Erin. Or whatever that is. But like, I struggle with trying to figure out and how we want to like draw the boundaries with the friends and the significant others, because also sometimes friends overstep too. Like it's not just our partners who like are like, you shouldn't share that, or I don't like that, or that's a big problem. But sometimes friends like glob onto the problems with your significant other and then they make them worse.
Because they're having a problem with it or it's triggering to them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, haven't you had that before where people like you'll create a judgment, or like you'll have to say something being like, God, I'm just really worried about the way that so-and-so, drinks or manages whatever. Like it can be big or small. And then they blow it out of proportion.
Sure. I think that's coming from, again, assuming your relationships are healthy. I feel like the underlying message of that is I love you and I'm obsessed with you and I want nothing good for you. And something about what you said is,
You mean nothing bad for
no,
you?
yeah, I want nothing bad for you, only good.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they don't want anything good for you.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Not your friends.
Right.
I think what they're saying is I only want good things for you. And so when I hear your partner is doing this, here's how I interpret or experience that. I think that can be really easily redirected, don't you?
I think it can. I think yes. And I think that if there's a theme that happens over and over again, I think where friends fail to talk to each other honestly is about, you know, like teeing it up the right way. Like, are you wanting feedback? Are you wanting to vent? Are you wanting me to, like, what is the reaction you're seeking from me in sharing this information?
That's such a nice question to ask people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like the classic therapist answer. I remember, so Monica and I have a friend that we like share in the universe. Her name is Anna, and she's this delightful human being.
Best, yeah.
And Anna and I were texting once, and I like remember it. And sorry, Anna, I probably haven't told you this. Maybe I have, but I got mad. And it wasn't anything she did. It was my reaction. My ex-husband was in surgery. I was waiting for him to come out. We were texting about something. And I was like, oh, he hasn't come out. And it's been like over 3 hours. And I was freaking out. And she goes, that's really frustrating. How can I help you? And I'm like, don't be a fucking therapist. I'm like, don't ask me how you can help me.
Yeah.
But, you know, after I was done being in panic mode, like, did he die? You know, then I was like, God, that's the best question.
Yeah.
Because she's not having the same experience I am.
Right.
And but she senses I'm having an experience and she genuinely wants to help me.
Yeah.
But she needs me to direct how.
I think the context that I was thinking about is my experience of Anna is that she would do anything.
She would.
Like, I think you could say, I need a sandwich, and she would bring you a sandwich, or I want you to hold my hand, and she would hold your hand and do handstands, or like anything you wanted, she would do it.
Yeah.
But I think when you're in it, it can feel really hard because it isn't her joining in the emotion. It's her offering to be beside you.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what.
And I think that's what more people need. And I think, you know, we're therapists.
Yeah.
Like, we're a problem.
A big problem.
Like a big effing
so
problem.
many words, so many feelings.
Yeah. You know what? We're going to have to do another episode. I'm already planning our next one in the future that's talking about like being in relationships with a therapist, like all of them. We're not getting into it today. That's an hour conversation.
Many hours.
Yeah. And I want to bring in more guests. I want them to roast us. I want to be like, I want you to tell us what makes this hard. And I want to see our reaction and response.
Should we bring in like people's therapists, significant others? I feel like we could line them up. And
we should. When we're in our new podcast studio and the new office space, we're going to be able to have a setup that has more than, 2 or 3 chairs. And yes, that's what we're going to do. Yeah. And we're going to do we'll film it because we have some fancy cameras and we're going to film it. And it's going to be like this whole thing of like why dating a therapist is toxic.
It's the worst. Probably the worst.
We will guarantee self-improvement. We will understand and give empathetic listening. And we don't, I think that's why I don't yell, like I used to. And then I've just learned like grounding skills. So like, so he's like, why aren't you more mad? And I'm like, cause I am like in peace in this conversation. And he's like, I fucking hate you. And I'm like, I'm a problem. I am aware.
Yeah.
But you don't sit in 40 hours a week of therapy and not learn something when you're sitting on the other side of the couch.
You'd hope so. Yeah.
You'd hope so.
Yeah.
Okay. Another question I want to ask you is just about, I love the My Therapist Said stuff you put out there. I'm like, oh God, it's like stuff I know, but I'm like, I have to hear what Monica said. But some of the stuff that you put out there about like how couples fight and interact, I think friends need to do that too. Yeah. And I think in this world, I think about my closest friends and there's nothing I cannot say that I know we couldn't get through tear and repair.
Right.
But that's not normal. I think a lot of people I know are afraid, like they'll go and chat to the other friend about the friend, like the rumor mill, because they're too afraid of just like being assertive.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do. It feels like the therapy term is triangulation, is what I was thinking. Like
it is.
It feels hard to tolerate this within our friendship. So what I'm going to do is bring in extra support.
Yeah.
And how I'm going to work through it is with somebody else, because what I'm looking for is for that other person to affirm my experience, because I'm worried about being vulnerable with my friend. Yeah.
So, but yes, that is exactly what it is. And like, I think where we put a lot of pressure on our primary relationship, usually with our significant other or our non-platonic lover, is we do that with them. we do that with some of our family members and we don't think twice about it. Like if we want to get in a screaming match or tell them that we think they're being stupid or whatever,
Yeah.
like we do it and we know there's going to be repair. But I feel like friendships, like, and I don't know if this has evolved. And I know that, again, we're therapists, so I'm trying not to use that skewed perception of like, I can say anything, right? But I think a lot of people struggle with that. And I think that puts, creates this like weird pressure dynamic of how much weight we put on certain relationships in our life. Like who we can actually like tell to SDFU and who we have to be like, I don't know if I agree with that opinion.
Sure. Have you ever said that in a friendship?
What? Which part?
I don't know if I agree with that opinion.
That I would say for an acquaintance.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
But there are lots of people. I mean, this is something that people come and ask me about. Like, how do I tell my friend?
Yeah. I think it's a very unpracticed. I actually think it's also unpracticed in relationships, which is why people come to couples therapy. It feels really vulnerable to share how I actually feel about something, but I have gotten comfortable telling you what's annoying about you.
Yeah.
But so I think it shows up in you hurt my feelings, or I feel really misunderstood, or I feel really undervalued, or I don't feel important to you, or I didn't get invited, or whatever. I think those types of things can feel so vulnerable to say. So instead of saying that, I'm going to avoid you, or I'm going to leave you on red, or I'm going to spend more time with
passive aggressive.
Yeah, we're very Minnesotan.
Yeah. Oh, I hate passive aggressive.
It's a strategy.
It's a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you feel like we can help people? Because I'm with you on this. Like I completely agree that people do this. But how do people get more confidence? Because I feel like it just takes exposure.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I had a big conversation with my significant other where I'm like, hey, I feel like we've been like holding stuff back and we just need to like have blunt honesty. Because we're not going to make it like if any of us feels like we have to walk on eggshells, then like we're not even comfortable in our own home.
Right.
That's a problem. For like human existence. How do we support friends to be like, if your friend's pissing you off or doing something dumb or like even does anything that bothers you, like try and talk to them about it? And how do we give them that confidence?
I mean, it feels nice to sort of pinky promise the idea of we have matching necklaces or we have a matching outfit. Our relationship can hold this, and actually we'll probably grow more together if we share our feelings than if we don't.
Yep.
So sometimes I think it's helpful to sort of name the two pieces. So like, I want to tell you this. I'm also obsessed with you. I want to get through it with you. And
unhealthily obsessed.
Yes.
Yeah,
Deeply
I think about you before I go to bed.
When I wake up in the morning.
I send you all my funny memes.
I wonder what you're doing and if you're thinking of me.
I want to be on your location tracker on your phone.
Maybe already am.
Exactly. Yeah. People are like alarmed at the number of people who share their location with me. Oh my God. That is the new way of establishing how close you are with your friends.
That's right.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like, do you share location? If you, like Brad, I'm pretty sure I'm the only person he shares his location with.
Oh, wow.
Brad? Is it true? Oh,
can't confirm or deny.
Yeah,
Brad.
I love that for us. I know he's just mad that I told other people because they probably asked. Now he's like, now they're gonna think I'm mad, and I'm gonna tell Brad, have the conversation with your friend.
Yeah, tell him I am obsessed with you, but not that much.
Like I'm not gonna share my location with you.
You have to be in this for 10 years.
Yeah, or longer. Which
or
Brad
longer.
and I have known him for 21 years.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That's a long time.
It's like we were children, like actual children.
Oh, yeah.
Not like family friends. So like I dated his cousin. Oh. And when we broke up, I always say I got Brad in the breakup. It's true. I mean, we've been like, yeah.
I mean, I don't know his cousin, but Brad's a big win.
Brad is a huge win. Yeah. Yep. And I've held on to him, clutched him in my talons and never let him go.
You feel like whenever I think of you, I'm like, where's Brad in proximity?
Yeah. Which is how I want life.
Yeah.
It's actually really funny. Oh, I already talked about this in the podcast once, but I'll tell you, and I haven't shared with you. But there was like haters online who were saying like Erin and all of her bottom feeders and barnacles. And so I texted Brad. I'm like, thanks for being the best bottom feeder I've ever had. So sometimes I refer to him as Barnacle.
Yeah, that's really cute.
Isn't that nice? I'm so nice. Okay. Well, there's so many more things I want to talk to you about, but I feel like this has been such a good conversation. And I think that people are going to want to have some more MonCon back in their life.
Yeah, we should do more things together.
We will. I want to talk a lot. I want to like do a deep dive into the toxic therapy thing.
Yeah.
Therapist relationship thing.
Yeah.
There's so much there. I want to bring our bud Anna on because
That would be
she's
so
just the
fun.
best.
She's the best.
Like literally the best. Like and now I kind of want to text her and be like, I really need a sandwich and just see what happens.
She would bring you
She'd
it.
show up, and that's
Yeah.
the best.
She's actually taught me so much about that. One of the biggest pieces she's taught me is instead of asking, also just like doing it.
Yeah.
So like, hey, I don't know, there's something going on with you. I have no idea actually how to do this, but I'm just gonna guess and show up.
Yeah.
I love that.
Me too.
Yeah.
Just like good salt of the earth kind of people.
Yeah.
And I also want to break down, everyone is like the juicy details of sex stuff.
Oh,
So I want to have like a really raunchy, uncomfortable conversation about that.
Great, let's do it.
We're going to do that.
People need permission to talk about it.
They do.
And I think the best thing happens is when somebody else says, hey, I think that's why book talk is so popular.
Yeah.
Is because it's a way to have somebody else tell you
Yeah,
about
like-
sex
yeah,
in
like-
a way that you actually want to say it.
Yeah.
So I can say, this book talk lady described this sexual fantasy I've had my whole life. You should watch it. But low key, I don't have to admit anything.
Right. But like I'm super into it.
But so into it.
Right. And then
Yeah.
I magically leave that book open on the bed so my husband can be like, what is this smut?
Yeah.
And really, it flips to the wrong page and it's just all about dragons. He's like, she's into some weird dragon sex shit.
I would say most husbands feel great about the win of the husband is that their wife is turned on.
Yeah, that's it. That's all it takes.
Yeah.
That's it. Game over. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about that next time.
Yeah, great.
Thank you for everything
Well,
always.
thank you, Erin.
And yeah, we're going to come back and have Monica again sometime.
Woohoo.
Woohoo. Also, if there's things that you guys want to hear from me or me and Monica together, feel free to send us an email.
Yeah, send us an email or DM. I would take a DM.
I love a good DM.
I do too.
Yep. But send us an email and rate us on all the little things that podcasts stream on.
Yeah.
We like
Comment
have to
and rate us.
comment and rate us.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Tell us how this was for you.
Yeah, let's do
We
that.
want to be in a relationship with you.
Yeah, because we're obsessed with you.
We are. We would match with you if you tell us what you're wearing.
Oh, man. Or just give us a 5-star review and we'll be your besties.
Yeah. Well,
Unless it's out of 10 stars.
give us the best stars you can.
Give us all the stars. All right. See you next time.